Okay, in part 3 of completing the square, we're going to do just a couple trickier examples, just so you've seen some. All right, so here we've got an a value of -1. So when a is negative in front there, just kind of just some things we got to watch for in terms of signs for integers. But the procedure is still the same as it always was. That is, we're going to group those guys together and throw the -6 big space there. Okay, so we know that whatever's in front of the x squared, whatever coefficient's in front, has to be taken out. So in this case, that's a -1. So we're going to have y is equal to, I'm going to put a -1 outside of some brackets. And now if I divide each one by -1 to factor it out, I'm left with an x squared, and a 6 divided by -1 is -6x. Okay. All right, so not a bad idea to do a quick little mental check and see if we factored that properly. -1 times x squared would give us -1x squared, and -1 times -6 gives us +6. So we're just checking to make sure that we foiled that correctly, or factored it correctly. Okay, so now it's kind of as business as usual, where we want to figure out what to add and then subtract. Well, half of -6 is -3. So what completes the square is -3 times -3 is 9. And then I'm going to subtract 9. All right, in the next step, I'm going to bring out that number that doesn't need to be there, -9 in this case. But on its way out this time, I'm going to multiply it by the -1 in front. Okay, so that sign's going to matter there. All right, so in the next step, I'm going to have y is equal to -1 x squared minus 6x plus 9. As that -9 comes out at the end, it's going to be multiplied by -1 and then be plus 9 on the outside. Okay, so just so we have to be mindful of our signs when the leading coefficient is negative like it is there. And then cleanup time. So -1, well, I'm just going to write that as negative, because that means like a -1 timesing by -1. X minus 3 squared. Notice whatever sign this is, right? All that stuff jives together, so it's minus. And then +9 minus 6 is +3. So there's our parabola's equation. Okay, so that's if there's a negative in front. So let me take a look and see if we can find an example that's going to be a little bit tricky. Or maybe we'll get one of those ones where it was something ugly like, let's do the ugly one here, like 11. Okay? All right, so when the numbers get uglier, the process is still the same. Now, unfortunately, we can't just flat out get rid of everything here. But let's use what we know about factoring to kind of come up with it. So we're going to group those two together. So y is equal to 1/4 x squared minus 9/2 x, big space, 81/4. Okay, so this one's going to be like lots of fraction stuff going on. Okay, so we know we want to group these guys together and factor something out of them, or not something, we have to factor out that leading coefficient there. We need to take a quarter out of both of those terms. That's going to be way easier if both of the denominators are 4. So let's do that. Let's have common denominators here. So y is equal to 1/4 x squared minus 18/4x space plus 81/4. Okay, so now when we take out a quarter, okay, as we've done since the beginning of the year, we can factor that out, and 18 with the quarter denominator taken out or factored out would be minus 18x plus 81/4. So the procedure is 100% the same, just trickier numbers. Okay? Now, to complete the square, we're going to take half of negative 18, which is negative 9, and then that number is going to get squared. So 81, positive 81, and then minus 81 because we have to atone for it. Okay, in the next step, that negative 81 at the end is going to be multiplied by the quarter at the front of the bracket on its way out. Okay, so in the next step, we're going to have y is equal to 1/4 x squared minus 18x plus 81. Okay, now 81, negative 81 times a quarter. Okay, let's just go over here on the side. I'm just going to work over here. So negative 81 over 1 times 1 over 4. If we do that multiplication, that's just negative 81 over 4. So let's leave it in fraction form. So negative 81 times a quarter is negative 81 over 4 plus 81 over 4. Wasn't that handy? And then that will give us y is equal to 1/4. So if we clean this up, it's the binomial x minus 9 being squared. And negative 81 over 4 plus, so that cancels out. So I can leave it like that, or I can go like plus 0 to make us know that the vertex of this, if we wanted to graph it, is what's being subtracted in there, 9, 0. All right, so this just takes a lot of practice, and the weirder the number gets, it gets a little bit trickier mathematically, but the process is pretty much always the same.